Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Susan Hoffman, the director of the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute here at UC Berkeley. And we're delighted to have so many of our members here with us today. As you know, we're going to be talking about this new program that we put together with Collette Travel. And we have Jay Fehan, who's going to be here to talk with us, give us more background about this legendary business, family-owned business that's been operating since 1918. We'll learn more about Collette. You'll hear more about the trips that have been designed. And also, we're interested in knowing what your bucket list is. We know that this is a really important time to be traveling. It was always a good time to travel, but perhaps even more important now for us to have our own experience of getting perspective outside this country. So let me just say that we have been working on this for 2 years now, and the selection of Collette was for a variety of reasons, of which I think we need, Nancy, if you could put it on speaker view, or do I need to put it on speaker view? Okay, all right. So we chose Collette based on a whole range of factors. We had heard about Collette from other Osher Institutes, directors who raved about the program and the success that they've been having for years in working with Jay and with Collette. And it was known for its versatility, its responsiveness, its flexibility, many of the factors that I think are very much a part of kind of choosing the right program. And you will hear what those two programs are, and I think you will hear how they resonate to the kinds of things that OLLI members and ourselves are interested in. For today, what we'll do is Jay will introduce himself, Collette, and the two trips. If you have any questions, please post those in the chat. And Nancy Murr, who's online with us, will bring in those questions into the conversation. We will post the link to the travel program so that you have those readily available. And also know that today's presentation with Jay is being recorded, and so you can return to it should you be very successful in talking to friends and family who might want to join you. So with that having been the intro, I'd like to turn this over to Jay Fehan. And Jay, you there in the snow belt of Reno, can you take it over from here?
Oh, thank you, Susan. Yeah, thank you. And Susan's not exaggerating. It's been a couple of years since we started in talks, and I'm really thrilled that we're offering these trips out there. So before we get into destinations, just want to tell you a little bit about Collette and myself and all that. As Susan indicated, we are the 100-plus-year-old company. We're actually the oldest tour company in the U.S. We were started by a man named Jack Collette, who got himself a little jitney and ran the very first tour, 21 days from Boston to Florida. Of course, I'm amazed at the price. $68 was the price of that tour. I keep waiting for the anniversary sale where we can have a 3-week trip for $68. I better not hold my breath, but it's really a great company. It's family owned by an American family. I've been there 35 years, which kind of surprises folks. I started in 1989. And part of the reason I stick around is that I find they're the most ethical travel company out there. All right. There's a lot of sales gimmicks out there, referring to things that are free when they're really not, and shady practices. And of course, one of the big things, I was here for 9/11. I saw how well they handled that. And of course, COVID was very messy in the travel industry. I'm sure many of you on this call had a cruise booked or a tour booked or a vacation booked. And I'm pretty sure you got a voucher that said you can go next year, you can go 2 years from now, you can go. we didn't do that. Our owner said, I can't not operate the trip and keep thousands of dollars. And we're the only major tour company to refund money. We gave back close to $200 million to travelers because we couldn't offer the trip. And that just cemented why I stay here. I need to work for a company with strong ethics, So you probably have heard of us on Wheel of Fortune for those who watch it. All right, we're on there quite frequently. And I do have a little intro video, and that's one thing I'm never sure of with Zoom. Is sound going to play or not? So I guess we'll see. If there is no sound, basically it just it flashes some destinations by you so you know what we're doing. Oh, maybe it's not going to show. It was supposed to be the next slide. Okay, I want to run through what we're including when you look at these trips. Okay, I know you get a lot of mail from companies and offers, and it always says starting at, and that's usually just the tour itself. We want to be upfront in our pricing. So just so you know, the two trips we're highlighting today include the trip, but also include the airfare from San Francisco. All right, so you have everything in there. We also include baggage handling. Of course, you'll have a great tour guide on your trip. Headsets when needed over in Europe so you can hear what the guide's saying. These tours include a full breakfast every morning. Dinner, we try to do about 50% of the dinners, so you have the value of included meals, but you also have the free evenings to go out and explore. And I don't know about you, I love getting out there and exploring. So we're also very inclusive with our sightseeing. There's nothing worse than going on a trip and getting nickeled and dimed with 12 or 13 optional tours that cost you another $800 or $1,000. We offer 3 optional tours per tour on average. And so I like how inclusive we are, that the must-see sites are in the mix. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our perks. Now, this is one I haven't mentioned yet, but when you do your airfare and your land tour with us, we're going to send a coach or a van, depending upon how many there are of you, over to Berkeley and take you to the airport. We know getting to San Francisco is always stressful. Parking, traffic, 2 busy terminals. This way, you just get picked up in Berkeley. Your vacation starts right there, and we'll also bring you home at the end of the trip. Okay, so that's a nice perk. And then another thing we're really well known for, and I am always researching these, so I've yet to find anyone better, is our travel insurance. We're cancel anytime, any reason. All right, full cash back, no doctor's notes, no death certificates. So we also try to work with you if you want to upgrade your air. Some people like to fly business class. When available, there's premium economy. Some like to go 3 days early. Maybe you want to go see where grandma was born in Ireland. We're not taking the bus to where grandma was born, but you can come in 3 days early, get a car, and go exploring on your own before the trip starts. Okay. Normally, there's no change in airfare just to shift you 3 days. And what's nice is you're still going to get a ride from Berkeley to the airport, even if you go early or stay late. All right. So we just try to be transparent with things. Some people like to go in a day early. I am one of them. I don't sleep really well on planes. So I like to get there a day before the group and have my day to relax, to nap, to shower, to shop, to do what I want to do before the group comes in. Or sometimes I might want to stay on the back end. So once again, up to you. But like I said, this insurance is pretty amazing because every company out there does vouchers. They never want to give you your money back. And this is nice. You can literally call us the day before your trip, the day before, and say, I got this new hairdo and I hate it. I won't leave the house. And you'll get every penny back in cash, put back on your credit card, except the insurance itself. No questions asked. All right. It also covers you medically. So if you trip, fall, need an ambulance, I was a tour guide for 11 years, so I've seen it all. Sometimes it's not you, by the way. You could be in Ireland. It's day 3. I had a poor couple. It was horrible. I had to break the news to them. Their kid was in a serious car crash, and we had to get them home. And what's nice is the insurance purchased their air home, and they were able to receive money for every hotel bed they didn't sleep in, every meal they missed after they left the trip. So anyways, we strongly encourage our travel insurance especially when you're leaving the US. All right. Okay, and let's look at our first offering. We're super excited about this. So one of my favorite places, you probably tell by my last name, I'm Irish. I had the pleasure of working over here years and years ago. And I don't know, just can't get enough of the place. Friendly, safe, amazing, warm people. All right. And this is a 13-dayer, so it's a great length. All right. We're going to be leaving at the tail end of October into November. And this is the map. This is what we're going to take in. So you will see as a company, we do a lot of 2-night stays. We try to minimize the 1-night stays, but Ireland's small enough. There are a few of them. But it really is Ireland's greatest hits. And what's really neat is we're getting up to Northern Ireland, because as you may know, what, 20, 30 years ago, you couldn't go to Northern Ireland. It was too dangerous. And then they signed that peace treaty. And now we can finally get up to, Belfast and Derry and learn all about the troubles. So anyways, fabulous, fabulous trip here. All right. Now we do have a couple of extensions available too. Some folks say, hey, I'm flying all the way to Europe. I want to stay a while. I want to see as much as I can. So you'll notice this trip has a pre-tour to London. All right. So you can go in 3 days early and visit London, then join us on the main tour. Or you can, at the end of the tour, go to Edinburgh, Scotland, and spend several nights, 3 nights in Scotland. Okay. Or you can do both. Boy, you'll be gone about a month, but why not, right? You're already there. So once again, we leave that up to you. All right. Now, this is one of our classic tours. We do have different types of tours. We have spotlights that unpack once. We have small group tours we call explorations. This is one of our classics. The average group size is 37. We maximize at 44. We do not go to 50. I know some companies go to 50. We cap at 44. But once again, the average is 37 on the bus. And activity level is 2, which is great. Most of Europe is 3, just so you know, because you go to Italy, you go to Greece. There's some walking tours in small cities. But Ireland's pretty easy. I just want to make sure I leave that up long enough for everyone to read it. All right. So we're going to start in Dublin. Now, I'm hoping, I can't promise, but what I've requested, of course, is a fabulous flight, which is a nonstop San Francisco, Dublin. All right. Goes out every day at about 5. It's operated by Aer Lingus, Ireland's national airline. So I'm hoping we get on that one. I did want to mention, though, this is one of the few carriers left that has no premium economy yet. Their coach and their business. There's no premium. All right. Anyways, we'll fly on over to Dublin. Now, day 1, if you haven't been to Europe, day 1's always tough. Overnight flight. We're tired. We ask that you try to stay awake till the welcome dinner. All right. We try to make the welcome dinner fun and memorable. It's another thing as a company we avoid is we just try not to eat at hotels a lot. You go on some tours and you're eating at hotels, and when you're eating at a Hilton, you could be in Ohio. You don't know that you're in Italy or what have you. So we want to let you know where you are and take you out. This is the Irish house party. What a fun way to start the tour. We're going to get the real Irish dancers come out, not Michael Flaherty river dance stuff, but the authentic. They'll dance, and then we get some great Irish food. Many of us have our first Guinness. You hear Danny Boy for the first time of several. I do love that song, though. But anyways, it makes for a real fun kickoff of the trip. All right. Then we get our good night's sleep. All right. Next morning, you'll feel fabulous. We'll have breakfast at the hotel. We're going to go out and tour Dublin. All right. So we'll even bring you out here to St. Patrick's Cathedral. All right. We're going to take a tour on the inside, so you get to see that. It's a beautiful cathedral. And then, of course, out to Phoenix Park and the Georgian-style homes. They have fancy doors over there. They actually have a competition and a coffee table book called The Doors of Dublin. Phoenix Park, St. Stephen's Green, all kinds of neat sites on the city tour. And that normally lasts us from about 9 to noon. All right. In the afternoon, a lot of us want to go out, do some shopping, what have you, enjoy free time in the city of Dublin. There's 700, last I was there, which was 2 years ago now, 719 pubs in Dublin. So you can only imagine where Jay ends up there. Visiting pubs is part of any visit to Ireland. Even if you don't drink, it's good to visit pubs because that's where the locals really hang out. That's where you're going to meet locals. And once again, if you're not a drinker, have food. They have pub grub, great sandwiches. It's just part of going to Ireland. But of course, I did manage to squeeze in a Guinness or two while I was there. Um, the rest of your day is wide open. Now, there is an optional tour if you are a big Guinness person like me. This is later on that free day. They'll take you out to dinner and a tour of the Guinness storehouse. Okay. This is where you learn the history behind Guinness. They're going to teach you how to pour a Guinness properly. They also take you to the rooftop where you get this great view of Dublin. And then, of course, it'll come with a dinner. All right. So if you like to keep busy, that's a great thing to do. Some of you might just want your free night in Dublin to do what you want to do. All right. Next day, we're going to leave. We're going to head south. We're going to stop in Kilkenny. We're here for about 2 hours, so time to browse this beautiful town and have lunch. And then we'll head to Waterford. All right. Now, when we get to Waterford, we're going to do a walking tour with a local guide. I will say Waterford's amazing with its history and that they still have buildings like Reginald's Tower that goes all the way back to the Viking period. So pretty impressive how old some of the structures are there. And then after that, everyone, we're going to have a choice on tour. This is where two activities happen at the same time. They're included, but you choose which one you want to do because people like choices, right? So choice one is tour the Waterford Crystal Factory. Choice two is right across the street, and it's the Medieval Museum. So if you've already been to Waterford, you might want to choose the Medieval Museum. A lot of first-time visitors choose Waterford because it is so famous. Get to see them making their pieces there. And of course, you know how those tours work. They bring you right to the showroom slash gift shop at the end. But beautiful stuff. All right. And once again, if you've done it or you just have more interest in the Medieval Museum, welcome to do that. Just keep in mind it's included, and you can change your mind till you're right there on the tour, by the way. You don't have to let us know now. All right. The next day, we're off to one of my favorite stops, Blarney Castle. I don't know what it is about Blarney. It just has such a charm and the legend and all that behind it. I'd be so curious how many of you have kissed the Blarney Stone. But it's not the easiest thing to do. So just so you know, when you look at this castle, it's up at the top of the castle, up in the embattlements where the stone is located. And the legend is you kiss the Blarney Stone, you're given the gift of gab. Some people have told me I've kissed it too many times. They're probably correct. But it's impressive. If you look just at this picture, the shades of green, just beautiful. And if you look carefully at the top, you'll see there's a little line of people waiting to kiss the stone. There's about 5 or 6 folks there waiting to kiss it. And so this, of course, is they haven't put an elevator in here. So this is 3-story, climb up a castle. And then wait till you see what kissing the stone looks like. There it is. All right. You sit down, lean back, grab the bars. Now he's there to help. I don't know what his title is, but I mean, he's there in case you lose your earrings or necklace or something. But you kiss that stone and you'll be talking a lot in no time. All right. I know years ago, people are always worried, how clean is that stone? What have you? So I was really thrilled. I went 2 years ago and saw post-COVID, they spray it after each kiss. And I thought, okay, good. That's got to keep it hygienic, you know. Okay, from Blarney, all right, we are going to travel over to Killarney, which is where the Irish spend their weekends. It's kind of their playground and another just fabulous town. Upon arrival, we're going to visit Killarney National Park. And if you look carefully, that's Ross Castle. Over to the right, you'll see these little boats. We're going to take a boat cruise around Loch Lawn, which is just a stunning body of water in Killarney National Park. And then we'll go ahead and get checked into our hotel and then go out for an included dinner. All right. So, of course, that's just a photo of Irish stew. I haven't really addressed our dinners yet, but I did want to mention we always have choices at our dinners. And for those of you with special diets, because that comes up a lot. And every tour I'm on has about 2, 3 vegetarians, a couple of vegans, and a gluten-free, and sometimes some other stuff. I've seen people allergic to flour, which makes for some really boring dinners, but we got to do what we got to do. So just so you know, we will work with you in your food allergies. All right. Okay. Following day, everybody, we're going to do the Ring of Kerry, which is just one of those must-do drives. It's a lot like when you take company to Monterey, you got to do the 17-mile drive, right? Well, the same thing here. You get to Killarney, you've got to do the Ring of Kerry. It's a beautiful peninsula, lots of sheep farms, lots of history, ring forts, even a couple of mass graves from back in the day. It's very interesting to travel around. I love seeing the sheep farms and some of the islands there, and just all the green. I live in the Central Valley. I'm in Reno for work, but I live in the Central Valley, and just everything by October is straw. Everything's dry. We haven't had rain. And so to go to Ireland and see all this greenery is just a treat. Anyways, the Ring of Kerry will bring us up over some of the highest hills in Ireland, up over the Gap of Dunlow, which they don't have big mountains like we do. It's 3,400 feet or so. Then we'll make a stop at beautiful Ladies View. This is where Queen Victoria's ladies in waiting stopped to soak up the view, hence the name Ladies View. And then we'll get back into Killarney at about 3:30 to 4. The rest of your day's free. Go out and do what you want to do. All right. So I like the pacing, that we have these free afternoons and evenings sometimes to go out and enjoy. Okay, next day, everybody, we are off to one of Ireland's highlights, the Cliffs of Moher, 700-foot drop into the Atlantic. It's just breathtaking. And then a short drive brings us to Ennis. We'll spend the night there. This is the front of our hotel. It's a beautiful old hotel that we stay at there. And then the next morning, we're off to a farm. We're going to meet the sheep, but the most important thing is we're going to have a sheep dog show. And I'm amazed at these dogs because they show us and they blow these whistle sounds, and the dogs know exactly what they're doing. They're smarter than some humans. I know. I'm amazed. Quite impressive. Then we'll visit Galway. We'll do a little walking tour of Galway. This was the city of tribes. This is also the city where the claddagh ring was invented. That's the traditional Irish wing with the hands, the heart, and the crown. And so that's a little fishing village within Galway called the Claddagh, but great city. And then we're going to continue to Donegal. All right, we'll spend the evening. Beautiful old town. Once again, the Vikings settled here back in the day as well. And the next day we travel into Northern Ireland. All right, and I'm sure most of you know this, but it's just so interesting that Ireland's the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland. Really, you're entering part of England now. All right, and to me, it's so fascinating because I was over there in the early '90s during the Troubles, as they call it, and we just couldn't go to Northern Ireland. So it's really exciting that we can. It's very interesting to learn about the tensions that still exist. And like I said, most of you know this, but for those that don't, basically they're kind of split in two up there. You are either Catholic, that means you're pro-Ireland, generally, or you're Protestant, which means you're pro-England. And they actually are divided. The neighborhoods to this day are divided with walls and stuff. You either live in the Protestant neighborhood or the Catholic neighborhood. And I can't get my head around it. I told one of the locals, I said, you should come to my street. I got some Jehovah's, First Baptist, Catholic, Protestant. His head like exploded, you know what I mean? So it's so interesting, the differences. But we're going to tour Derry and its beautiful wall. We'll visit the arts district there. That's just beautiful. And we have local guides in both Derry and Belfast, and they really bring the troubles to life. They live through them. And so I just found it so interesting. So Derry will do the wall walk. We're there for a couple nights. Next day, we do the coastal ride north now out to Malin Head. Gorgeous sightseeing there. They have such a beautiful coastline up here. And then next, as we head to Belfast, we're going to visit the top attraction in Northern Ireland, which is the National Park, Giant's Causeway. And this is basically basaltic rock. And in some angles, it looks like a staircase going into the water. And of course, that would emerge in Scotland, come out the other side in Scotland. But it's just beautiful to see. And then as we get closer to Belfast, we'll travel through the glens of Antrim, some beautiful hills and valleys. And then our final 2 nights of this trip will be in Belfast. Now, upon arrival, we're going to visit a pub or a country inn, as they call it, and get to try an Irish coffee or a little bit of whiskey. And then once again, we're in Belfast 2 nights. We stay at the Hotel Europa right in the heart of the city. and we'll go out and tour the city. And once again, so much history with the Troubles, but also this is where they built the Titanic. So we'll see the cranes, Samson and Goliath, that worked on the Titanic. And then, of course, it would be remiss if we didn't include the Titanic Museum. So pretty interesting to get into the museum and learn about the various folks that were on the Titanic and the building of it. And of course, I got that Celine Dion song in my head for the rest of the day after visiting that museum. And then that night, we'll have our farewell dinner. We'll say goodbye to all the travelers we've met, and then we'll fly on home. All right, so that gives you a feel for the base tour. I just want to remind you about the add-ons if you choose. You can add London at the beginning, a 3-night extension. Now, the extensions are just slightly different in that they're guided, but we don't do a lot of bus travel. And the reason is, I don't know if you know, but buses cost about $2,000 a day now, $2,100 a day. And we want to be able to offer this extension, even if there's only 8 of you or 9 of you. And chartering a bus and driving all over like we do on a base tour, it just isn't financially feasible. So what we try to do is walking tours and some public transit so that we can operate this. So you don't have to worry about this canceling if we only get 8 or 9 or what have you. All right. So when you go on the link for this trip, you can read what's included each day. We include some of the city passes that let you into the museums. First day is the Oyster Pass for sightseeing. So you get to go out and see all the famous landmarks around the city. And once again, we'll have a guide there, but we just don't have that big bus that we travel on. And of course, here's the Tower of London. That's where Henry VIII beheaded a couple of his wives. And also there's usually some free time on these too, so that you can get out. And I know a lot of us want to ride the double-decker bus to Harrods, if you're in the city, or ride the London Eye. That's another biggie. So that's London, and then Edinburgh, same thing. You'll be flown. This one's at the end of the tour, flown to Scotland for 3 additional nights. Walking tour, the Royal Mile up to the Edinburgh Castle, down by the Holyrood House, and then once again some free time too to do what you want to do. All right. So, anyways, it hopefully gives you a feel for the trip, and then just want to give you some. Statistics. You'll see all this on the flyer, but I just like to spell. Oh, what happened to my tour dates? They disappeared. Huh. Okay. Well, we fly out October 31st. I'm trying to remember when our return is, but this is how we work the trips, everybody. If you're interested in going, you just put $698 down per person, and then if you want our insurance, you add that to your deposit. All right. The airlines are a little tricky to work with sometimes, so we can honor all the prices till 6 months prior to departure. So that's why if you want to go and you want to go at this price of the trip, you just have to sign up by May 1st. That's our deadline. All right. One of the things I love that we do that other companies don't do is let's say you sign up tonight or tomorrow, and then you find out, oh my God, I have that family wedding. I forgot all about it, and you need to cancel in 3 weeks. As long as you cancel by May 1st, we're going to give you your deposit back and your insurance back. You won't have lost 1 penny. All right. So that takes the stress out till May 1st anyways. Final payment's August 1st. Okay. And of course, some people like to pay monthly. We can always get you a link to do that. I do that myself, to be honest. I don't like to know I have a big bill coming soon, so I chip away each month at it, but that's just me. But anyways, the rates of the trip, everyone, 13 days with airfare, $47.99 per person double. If you want your own room for the 13 days, $55.99. Okay. And once again, that includes the tour, everything I showed you, the airfare, rides to airports, all that good stuff. All right. Now, I did mention the link. I'll share it, but I'm sure we're going to have it posted as well. But there is the link. Now, another thing I do admire about Collette, and I just can't help but toot their horn sometimes, is we don't beg for checks. We all know credit cards have fees, but credit cards protect people, okay? And I do see people out there paying off trips a year early. There's a river cruise company that wants you to pay your entire trip a year in advance by wire transfer or check. And I don't know, when I hear that, alarms go off in my head. What's wrong with your bank account? Why do you need my money a year before the trip takes place? but people do it. And I'm like, please don't write checks to travel companies. Those are always the ones that fold. You might know Vantage World Travel. If you used to get catalogs and you're not anymore, it's because they went out of business last year and they owe people thousands of dollars. And because they all wrote checks, they don't get money back. So ethical firms promote credit cards. We promote credit cards. You get miles, you get points. And if anything ever happened to us, guess who's going to help you out? Visa and MasterCard come to your rescue. So it is always the way to go. Just thought I'd add that. Anyways, once you read the tour over, the itinerary is posted on this link. The extensions are posted. You can read about luggage restrictions, all kinds of travel tips. And if and when you're ready to sign up, what you do is click that little sign up now button. And it's literally like ordering from Amazon. You just fill out your name, address. One of the things I do like to mention, everyone, is because it holds sensitive information, if you walk away for a couple minutes, it throws you off the site, which is a good thing. But I can't tell you how many people say, I was in the middle of signing up and my passport was upstairs. I went to get it and it kicked me off. So just keep in mind, if and when you go to sign up, have your credit card and passport next to you. And it should just take you a couple of minutes. All right. Okay. Let's see questions. I know Jay needs to breathe a minute.
Yeah, well, Jay, I'm going to give you a break because I realized I am so enthusiastic about Ireland being our first trip
Me
out.
too.
I
Love
had
it.
the chance to be in Ireland a lot over the
Oh,
last 10 years.
nice.
My youngest son, Connor, I got his first job in Dublin after graduating from UC Santa Barbara. And so I visited a lot. And what amazed me was every pub was exactly as you described it, a kind of node for the community. The
Yeah.
people, both inside and outside pubs, were so friendly
Yeah.
and conversations so easy, and their love for their country and culture. Just, you learn so much just in a simple exchange
Yeah.
of where you want to go. The other thing is that in the last decade or so, they have had what's called the good food movement. And
Yes.
that good food movement is the farm to table. And
Yeah.
so I still can remember some of my meals. They were just so fresh and so remarkable and so unexpected. The other thing is that there is so many good things to buy once you're there.
Oh, yes.
The cashmere and the wool products, all of those artisan crafts are just really worth checking out as well.
Oh, it's funny you
So
say that. I'm a bit of a shopper, and I will say the Connemara marble, gorgeous. Um, Irish sweaters, and of course the real ones I think are so fascinating, Aran Island sweaters, because each sweater is different from the
yeah,
Aran Islands, and they used to make them different because they were fishermen, and if your body washed up on the beach, they would identify you by your sweater. But what a fascinating backstory and just beautiful pieces. And of course, what Balik China. Oh, yeah, I could go on and on. Beautiful stuff.
So Gary, just quickly, there are a couple of questions in the chat. For example, can you fly from Los Angeles?
Oh, yes. Well, thank you for asking. I actually was going to talk about that at the end of the trip.
Well, we can do
Um,
that. You want to
But
hold
just
on
so
to
you
that
know,
thought?
yeah, you sure can. And I do like to explain prices because this mystifies some folks. So obviously San Francisco, major, big competitive airport. All right. LAX, same thing. Seattle, same thing. So it just, yeah, if you're in LA, we'll just actually, when you use this form to sign up, it asks you, do you want to include air? You click yes. And of course, the first one to pop up San Francisco, but we do let you scroll down. You can put in LAX. But I like to explain that when you live in a small regional area, I live near Sacramento Airport and I love our peaceful, quiet airport, but I can't get anywhere to Europe nonstop. I have double the connections and my price is about 200 higher. So in case we have anyone who wants John Wayne Airport, Burbank, Sacramento, Reno, those cost more and more stops. Any other questions, Nance?
Um, one of our members, Joan, I see you out there, noticed in your photographs there was a lot, there seems to be smoking in those pubs. Is there a lot of smoking in Ireland?
Oh, oh my God, really?
Well, I don't know.
No,
I
they banned it.
noticed.
I don't remember what year they banned it. It was after us. I think it was on the way because we were mid 90s. I think early 2000s they banned it. But yeah, smoking's outside only. They do still smoke though in Italy, Ireland, and Europe in general, but just not inside. And I mean, to be honest, it made me laugh because the news when they banned it, it was on our national news, and it showed fires outside pubs and people flipping tables, and they didn't take it all that well at first, but they're used to it now.
Okay. Well, very, very good.
Yeah,
Um, sorry, I'm scrolling through here. Can you talk a little bit about the weather at the end of October, early November, generally in Ireland?
low
The
50.
weather.
Yeah, low 50s, so cool, 50 to 55. I know usually what I get asked about is rain, and I can't tell how many people have said, I want to go to Ireland when it's not going to rain. And Susan, having spent time there, and your son, I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, that's like never. It's really a lot like a Seattle, a Pacifica, maybe Monterey even to an extent, but it's an island right off the Atlantic. So when it comes to mist and fog and rain, it can just happen whenever it wants. There's really not a dry season. But I will say, most folks you talk to, it rains for an hour or two and stops. I mean, my last visit there, it actually rained every day, but for 2 hours or less. And I thought, okay, I can handle that, you know,
Um,
layers, layers. Yeah.
layers, right? That's always the magic ingredient. So you mentioned the bus and the bus travel. How long are you on a bus a
We
day,
stop.
generally?
Well, this is a smaller country, so you don't have any 5 and 6 hour bus rides, but we as a company always stop every 2 hours or less
Ah,
because bathrooms. There is a bathroom on the bus, but we try to just make the stops. People need coffee, they need bathrooms,
yep,
people might need a snack, so there's very frequent stops. Yeah,
right. If someone wanted to book business class, is that possible through the link?
it is. Uh-huh. Yeah, and I know premium economy is the big draw right now, but Aer Lingus does not have it. But business is there, and God, I love it. I only get up there once every 5 years or so by some fluke, but boy, laying down filet mignon, it's fabulous.
And is it possible to make a stop, for example, in New York on your way back? Can
Yes,
that be arranged? Those
it
kinds
just sometimes there is a fee for it, but yes.
of. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And Susan, I think Jane has a question about lectures, and I know you've been sort of mulling curriculum or some sort of supporting lectures for these trips, which I know is just, something in its early stages right now. But Jay, can you talk about the guides and the information and sort of the educational aspects of the tour?
Yeah, well, most of our guides are local, so either British or Irish, so from the area. That was not the case years and years ago. When I was a tour guide, we had to be trained in an area, but we weren't necessarily from the area. But nowadays they are, so they know it well. They share the history. You're going to hear all about the potato famine and Queen Elizabeth I and the Cromwellian invasion. And yet, they don't ramble on and on for hours. It's a vacation after all. So, but yeah, I find every trip educational. I learn something wherever I go.
Well, Jay, why don't we move on to Costa Rica and we'll just take general questions and Costa Rica specific questions after your presentation. How
Yeah.
about that?
Boy,
Okay.
and we couldn't have picked two more extreme areas, huh?
Well, exactly. Yeah.
One's a little cool and wet, and this is tropical. So, um, I got to admit, what this jumped out at me, it's one of the last bargains in travel. I think we all know prices have gone up in the last several years, and I'm amazed that this trip is still the same price. We have this in, everybody, for $29.99, including airfare, which is amazing because you can't fly to Puerto Vallarta and lay on a beach and see nothing for less than $29.99. So impressive. Now, I'm sure many of you know what Costa Rica is all about, but for those that don't, this is a place where we go to see the wildlife, the flora, the fauna, and enjoy some nice weather. So this is 9 days. Here's our map on this one. Now, the airport, the big airport, is in San Jose. Okay, so that's where we'll begin our trip. It is one of those cities where the greatest thing about it is it's where the airport is. So you'll notice we're not hanging around for 2, 3 nights. We leave just after that. But from there, we're going to go up to Arenal, up by the volcano, and do 3 nights. All right. And then Monteverde, we actually stay in the cloud forest for 2 nights. And then wrap up the trip along the coast with kind of 2 nights of fun in the sun. Because this trip we operate in the dry months, which is the winter. And keep in mind, people from Michigan and Minnesota are so thrilled to have 2 nights of fun in the sun. And even we could use a break from the cool rain. So we'll fly out of Liberia Airport. So we don't make you backtrack to San Jose to fly home. And then you'll see that orange line on the right, everybody. That's an extension. If you, once again, want to make your trip a little longer, it's a 3-night extension with 1 extra night San Jose and 2 nights out in Tortuguero National Park. And the reason it is left as kind of an optional extension is the fact that it's a little on the rustic side. All right, and we'll talk more about it when we, get to that. San Jose is where we'll start. We stay at the Doubletree Carriere, nice hotel. And just so you know, with air, there's usually no nonstop. There aren't any nonstops that I'm aware of, but we normally fly to Texas and connect in Texas. And so if it's American Airlines, it's Dallas. And if it's United, it used to be Continental, but United, it's Houston. All right, which I never mind because it's right on the way. About 3 hours to Texas, then about 3.5 down to San Jose. All right, just thought I'd throw that in there. We're going to spend the evening once everyone's arrived, spend the first night. Next day, we're going to go out and learn about coffee, which was super interesting to me. I drink a lot of it. I didn't know much about it until I visited Costa Rica. It's the second largest industry right behind tourism. And we're going to get to see the beans and find out how they're picked and roasted and caffeine levels and light coffee, dark coffee. So very interesting. I enjoyed it. Now from there, we'll continue north and we're heading up to our hotel up there for 3 nights. This is kind of the geothermal area, but also it's you see that volcano in the background. That is Costa Rica's most active volcano called Arenal. All right. And we're for sightseeing, we're the following day, we're going to go up to a wildlife reserve, Cano Negro, and do a cruise. All right. And our tour guide is a naturalist, by the way, certified naturalist on our Costa Rica tours. So they know their stuff. I will say, such a stupid backstory, but I can't help but share it. When I was a teenager, my mother called me a sloth, and I didn't know what it was. And then, 20 years later, I go to Costa Rica and I see that slow moving, lazy animal. And I said, now I get it. And so I was kind of reoffended 2 decades later, but they're so cute, And it's good to bring binoculars on this trip because you are at times, you're looking at trees and basically looking at birds. This is a bird watcher's paradise, but also howler monkeys, white-faced monkeys, sloths, and iguanas, Okay, so that's the Cano Negro Wildlife Cruise. Then we'll come back to our hotel. Once again, we're here 3 nights. Next day, we go and tour a Costa Rican farm and learn about their farming techniques and what they grow. And we'll have a lunch included at the farm. And then we do another cruise, but this one's quite different. This is going to be a cruise on Lake Arenal. All right, and we'll learn a lot about the volcano as we cruise around. Okay, and then here's Arenal Volcano. Then the Cloud Forest. This is where we'll go for our next 2 nights. It's kind of neat to stay in the Cloud Forest too. So when we get there, we are going to do a nature walk with our tour guide, and he'll be talking all about the flora and the fauna and the climate and all that good stuff. And then we're there for 2 nights. Our next day, our goal is to see the top of the forest. Okay, so it's interesting. We're going to have a choice on tour. And I love that they include this stuff because most companies you have to buy it. But choice 1 is the hanging bridges. All right. Choice 2 is zip lining. All right. And zip lining was invented in Costa Rica. So that's why we feel it's kind of important to include. Um, I found it scary if you don't like heights. A lot of people ask me, what'd you see up there? And I'm like, all I saw was my life cross before my eyes, scary stuff. But I'm glad I did it, check that box. But once again, choice is yours. And of course, the butterfly sanctuary, Costa Rica is the butterfly capital of the world when it comes to variety and all. So now one of the questions I do get asked on this is, can I do both? And so I thought I'd address it now because we got asked that so much that we now allow you to do both. How it works is you do one in the morning and then in the afternoon you'd pay for the second one. All right. But it's a choice on tour. So don't forget, you get one of these for free. And then if you want to do the other, you pay. But I do advise folks, there's a lot of stairs if you do both. All right. Because don't forget, there's no elevator up to the climbing bridges. You're using stairs. And then if you're zip lining, there's 8 segments, tree to tree. And how do you get up there? It's a little spiral staircase. So picture that, doing that 8 times and then going on the bridge walk. Just make sure you hit the Stairmaster before you leave on this trip, I guess is the moral of what I'm saying, if you choose to do both. Okay. Our final 2 nights, everybody, is along the coast. Nice. It warms up. When you're inland in Costa Rica, it's about 74. So great climate. When you get here, it's about 85. So you feel the warmth and humidity here, but it's beautiful because you're next to a beach and a pool almost the whole time you're here. The final day of the trip is wide open to do what you want to do. We are, at a resort hotel, so there'll be activities there, but we'll also have a couple of optional tours if you want to do them. Mangrove kayaking is one. The other one is a dolphin cruise, and we do stop on the dolphin cruise to snorkel as well. All right. Then we'll have a farewell dinner that night, say goodbye to everybody, and fly on home the next day. All right. So I want to tell you a little bit about the extension. I think it's fabulous, and it might not be for everybody. But how this works is we fly you down. You have to stay at a hotel because it's a flight day. We all know flights can be delayed or whatever. So your first night is San Jose. Next morning, you're picked up in a van and you're taken basically to the road ends. And then you get on boats. And for 48 hours, you're in the jungles of Costa Rica where there are no roads. So all your travel is by boat. All right. Now, that being said, one of the things you'll see it in your literature, I think it's even on our web link, but I'll just remind you, our hotel is nice and clean and all, but it's rustic. And because it's in the jungle, there's no bellman with a bellman cart. And, we always include baggage handling, but there's no one here to handle the bags. So what we advise all our packers is San Jose, the hotel, the DoubleTree carry area. They're used to us locking up our big suitcases. When we do this 2-night extension, we bring our own carry-on bag with our clothes and toiletries that we'll need for when we're in the jungle. All right. Fabulous, though, to tour around. So once again, first night, San Jose, traveling the waterways. Once again, you're going in looking at wildlife. You get really close up out here in the jungle. This is our hotel, so it's clean, it's nice. Now they do include 3 meals a day when you're out here because what are you going to swim to a restaurant? That's not going to work. So that's nice. But no TVs. It's like an eco lodge, being with nature. And you can tell by just the picture, there's no bellman with a cart coming to take your suitcases. All right. Once again, we're with naturalists while we're out there. And oh yeah, and this is a very famous kind of lizard down there. They actually call it the Jesus Christ lizard, and the reason is it walks on water. So I'm sure you'll see one either in the Cano Negro Wildlife Reserve or on your extension there, All right, I guess I did leave in this video. I'm glad for that. So I'm not sure if we'll have sound, but at least you'll get to see the zip lining a little bit and stuff. There's that lizard. Anyways, that was a quick one. All right. So here we go with the info on Costa Rica. January 16th through 24th. This is our scheduled date. Same deposit as the last trip, $698. Same insurance cost if you want to add it. Our signups are due July 16th, so we have a little more time on this one. And once again, if you sign up now and need to change your mind, just try to change it before July 16th. You'll get everything back. After July 16th, you'll get everything back but the insurance. All right. And then our final payment is due in mid-October, October 16th of 25. And once again, look at that amazing price, $29.99 per person double, 9 days with air, $34.99 single. All right. And once again, includes rides to airports, all that good stuff. All right. So, and once again, we'll have the link. Were you able to put those in?
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yeah, both Ireland and Costa Rica links are in the chat.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then just a reminder, you can go early, stay late, upgrade air, pre-nights, post-nights, what have you. Once again, we pick you up in Berkeley. We haven't determined the spot yet, but we'll get back to you on where that will be. And then just a reminder of the insurance, cancel anytime, any reason, full cash back, except the insurance itself. Normally, we just do a reverse charge on your credit card. So whatever you paid us with, it goes back on that card. Okay. Once again, it has medical coverage. I did want to mention our loyalty program. Some of you might be big travelers and take 2-3 trips a year. And when you come home from a trip, you have a credit on your next trip. And it's really based on the land price of your tour. But I did go ahead and look up Ireland. Let's say you do Ireland and Costa Rica, when you get home from Ireland, you automatically have a credit with us of $185. So it would be taking off your Costa Rica bill. Okay. And it just goes on like that. It expires after 3 years. So it's 5% for 2 years, 1% for the third year. But anyways, it adds up for folks taking frequent trips. It's just a nice little thank you for traveling with us. This is super important. You do need your passport to be up to date. Sometimes people book a trip and they're going to expire in 2 months, and they're not going to let you in with a passport that close to expiration. So I generally recommend once you're down to the final year, try to get that thing renewed as quickly as possible. All right. And if there's ever a visa needed to a country, we'll let you know. I know this is the rage right now. Everyone's asking all kinds of questions on this. They postponed it again, from what I've heard. It's been postponed 5 times, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised. But now they're talking of starting this in 2026. I do have to say, if anyone wants to go to London on the extension, Britain just started their visa. And so we will need one for the Ireland trip. And theirs is $11, I believe. And basically, we've been doing this to them for a long time, so they're just all starting to do it back. But they just want to check us out before we fly there to make sure we're not terrorists. And so what we do is get you the link. It's real easy. Name, address, name, date of birth, passport number, why you're coming, vacation. And they take 48 hours or less, and they just say, okay, you're good to go. Once you're approved, you're good for 3 years. Okay, so that's kind of nice. But mainland Europe's is delayed until 2026 at this point. Okay, and then here's some of the frequently asked questions I just get, but some of these we already got to. Okay, can I invite my friends and family from around the US? Sure, that's great. We do have people flying out of a lot of airports each day. So whether they live in Dallas, Pittsburgh, Philly, Boston, LA, in our case, they can go. All right. Now, some folks say, geez, Jay, I have 200,000 miles on my United credit card. Can I please use these miles? And obviously, yes. I mean, if you want to get yourself to the destination, by all means, I don't want to see those miles disappear. What you do is let us know, though, and we take the air off the trip. Okay. But just keep in mind that all the rides to airports and from airports to the hotel, the first hotel and the last hotel, all that stuff is part of our air. So we would just tell you to please meet us over there. Or if you wish, they will sell a meet and greet when you land. It runs generally about $75. But that's somebody with a sign, get you in a car, get you to the first hotel. Okay. But yeah, if you have 200,000 miles, take me with you. That would be fun. Let's see. Can I do another tour since I flew all this way? I do get that a lot too, because flying's not fun anymore. I think we all know that. And you flew all the way to Ireland, and if you think, geez, I'm over here, is there anything to Italy I can go to? Just let us know and we could look. Maybe there is a short Italy trip you can add to the Ireland trip. And it's always cheaper to get that second trip because you're already there. Your air's part of the Ireland trip. You just pay for a little jump to the next country. Anyway, just a thought. But I do get asked that, so I wanted to mention that. All right. And I thank you. I know that was a bit of a long talk, but I appreciate you all staying with me. So how about more questions?
Let's see. Is there a minimum number of participants necessary?
I mean, technically there is, but I kind of let Colette worry about that. Generally, what we do is we don't know how anyone's going to do. So what I've done with all my ollies is I start with about 20 to 25 spaces for us because we don't know if we're going to get 9 or we're going to get 35. It's a big mystery. And we start there, and then we start to get averages. We can kind of almost see that the average 2-week trip to Europe is going to get this and what have you. And then it gives us a better feel. But generally, we avoid having a group fill a bus because that's just so stressful. I don't think I'd be sleeping at night, and I'm sure Nancy and Susan and Patricia wouldn't either. If we had to come up with 39 to 44 travelers in the next month, no one needs the stress. So I hope that answered that okay.
It did. Thank you. And Carol, I'll have Jay answer this. So, could you do a pickup in the North Bay, say Petaluma? But it's one pickup, correct? We have one central location here in Berkeley,
Yeah,
and from Berkeley to SFO. Is that correct?
that's
Okay.
correct. Yeah, and I apologize. I know it gets so tricky. So we do one pickup per airport, 50 miles or closer.
Okay.
Now, if you live in Petaluma and you want to fly out of Sacramento, you can head over that way and we'd get you picked up 50 miles or closer. But yeah, San Francisco's one pickup will be Berkeley.
And you had mentioned, I'm just circling back to the LA question. If, say, there are 6 or 8 people from Los Angeles who are interested in joining, at what point does a pickup, can they be picked up as well? Is there a minimum number of people?
No, the number of people doesn't matter. The thing is, people don't realize how expensive these rides are. So we can't send 6 cars around Los Angeles to get people. It would just cost.
Right. Yeah.
So we would do one location, but sometimes we luck out and they all live a couple miles apart. They meet at the parking lot at Rayleigh's and we take them to the airport. So
Right.
it works out. It sometimes works out. Sometimes they're opposite sides of the city. So.
And to everyone here, one question as we kind of are winding up, we wanted to ask is, these are the first 2 trips that we've been pondering, but we are very interested in hearing what trips you would be interested in going on as we consider all these future destinations. So you can Portugal, Spain, right? You can pop them into the chat. I'm going to share with you our OLLI travel email. And you can share it in that as well. Susan, is there anything more, Jay? And Jay, if you can stop sharing your screen, we'll be able to pop
yes.
you and Susan
Sorry about
the
that.
screen. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's great to see people's ideas, of where to go. Jay, the difficulty level on the Costa Rica, what do you classify that? Is it
Pretty sure it's a 3. It's on the link. I believe it's a level 3.
Yeah, I couldn't remember, but
Yeah.
okay.
Not a very hard trip. Probably the nature walk I thought was pretty easy, but they're there's tree stumps, and I mean, it's a path, but it's out in nature. It's not paved. I think the zip lines was the one, going up a tree staircase.
Yeah.
So it is that activity that was what would drive it up. I mean, some of the trips real easy, getting on a boat and looking at animals is not very stressful, but it's physically those kind of things. And I, apologize in advance, but just keep in mind the American Disabilities Act just doesn't happen in other countries. It's just America. So
Right.
on some of
Yeah.
these trips, we try to be very upfront and honest about the walking,
Mhm.
especially Italy, Greece, places like that are so old.
Mhm.
And Jay, just briefly, I know you do travel domestically, but can you just talk a little bit about your domestic program as well?
Yeah. Oh, we have a lot domestically. Ironically, and we all know inflation happened everywhere in the world, but the US, it's a little hard in that the trips are actually a little more expensive per day, which blows people away. That why is this trip per day more than Ireland? But just sometimes it works out that way. A lot of it, I will say, is our motor coach costs. We're 2,200 a day now to get a bus in the US. But we have national park trips. Mackinac Island's a popular one for me. Fall Colors of New England. I still go out and guide that one every fall. I love getting back to New England and seeing my leaves. Cape Cod and the islands of New England, historic USA with Williamsburg and DC and all that. So yeah, there's a lot in the US, and I know sometimes we might want to sprinkle some of those in too.
So,
Did you want me to address single supplements at all? Because I know that's
there
something.
was a question in there, and you did talk. Yes, please do. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it comes up all the time. And almost I've had people even say, "Why are you guys so mean to single people?" It's like, um, and it's really not. Every company's different. Cruise lines are kind of mean. They just double the rate. If you ever want to take a cruise ship, you want your own room, it's like double. They just boom, double. And part of it's that it's one less person buying drinks, one less person buying shore excursions. They make all their money on board, so they just kind of slam you with a high fee. At Colette, we base it on hotel costs. So some places where hotels are cheaper, like Costa Rica and Tuscany, the single sup is much lower because the hotels are cheaper. You get into cities like Venice where your hotel's 370 a night, 400 a night. Manhattan, oh my God, Manhattan's about 500 a night now to go in season. Your single supplement is higher, and it's not us being mean, it's just math. And if two of us go to a hotel and it's 300 a night, we're really splitting that 150 when it comes to the price of a tour. Now, if I go alone, they don't say, "Oh, you're by yourself. Let me cut the rate in half." I mean, that would be nice, but they don't do that. And that's why there is that single supplement. But I've had a couple of bad roommates where, my bed vibrates from him snoring across the room, where to be honest, that $800 looked like a bargain because I don't want my trip ruined. Um, and then, I know there's a couple of companies out there now, no single supplement, but most of us learn at a certain age, nothing's free. Their insurance is double the price of ours, and they give vouchers back. And they know their people are going to buy the insurance, so they're making the extra 500 from the single supplement on their insurance. Plus, they mark up their double rate a little bit. And I know there's another outfit where sign up by this date, the air is free, and yet the price is the same as mine with air. So I'm like, I'm glad we don't play crazy games like that.
And
Anyways,
Jay, just to repeat, because I'm sure you've said this like 5 times already,
no,
but
no.
the purchase of insurance needs to take place when people sign up. Is that correct?
Ideally, yes. They do give you a little window, but sometimes people want to add it a month before because they want to cancel, and obviously that doesn't
Okay, I
work.
see. Okay.
Somebody wants Southeast Asia. Well, yeah, no,
I
good to
know
know.
we've got Egypt, Jordan, Israel, Taiwan, Africa, Portugal,
Yeah.
Spain. Yeah.
Wow. Israel,
Kenya.
we're not, we do stay away, and I admire Colette for this too, because they watch what's safe, what's not. When the attack happened in Israel, this is a cute story, if you don't mind me sharing it, but when the attack happened in Israel, we had two groups there. And we got them on buses right to Jordan. They were out of there in less than 24 hours on October 7th. What I found fascinating is 12 people did their own air with miles, and 9 people had no travel insurance at all. And Colette paid to get everyone out of there, paid for their airfare. And I thought even the people who didn't buy our air got free air home. And the owner said, Jay, it's a crisis. I'm not gonna nickel and dime them and leave them in a scary place. So anyways, once again, I was super impressed by that.
Thank you. Um, and Nina, yeah, it would be if we were to plan a domestic trip, absolutely. We'd
Sure.
have that for our members. So
Yeah.
Jay, I think people need to go. We all need to go eat dinner.
Yes. Oh, God, I'm not the only one hungry.
You need to shovel your way through, I don't know, wherever you are
Oh,
in Nevada.
yeah.
So everyone, if you have any questions, please just shoot them to OLLI Travel, but absolutely go to those links. You'll find the links on our on the website. Here, let me pop that in there for you as well. Here.
And we are planning to do two more trips the first part of 2026. So as you begin to accrue your miles with Collette, there will be, other trips that we're planning.
I just appreciate people's input. It's so interesting to hear where they want to go.
It is. We really want to hear as we're putting our thinking caps on and figuring out where these future trips will lead us. So, all right, Jay, Fehan, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us so much. And we'll send the video to all of you, so you can kind of relive the moments, if you like, and we'll also post it on the travel page. So thank you very much, everyone. Take care.
Everybody, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.